Some characters are just not meant for solo challenges. I'm not even gonna bother doing an intro, I just want this character over and done with. If you see my previous video, you already know just how fed up I am with her. Here are the rules. I can only use Iansan. All banners and weapons are allowed, no bug abusing, and I've made an adjustment to the food rule because I got so tilted during this run, but for the most part, no food during combat. So let's just get right into it. We start off by pulling reverse power crit Bennett and made our way over to Amber's domain, and we're already having trouble here. I was bragging about my 4-minute skip on Chongyun last video, but Iansan is so short, she can't jump high enough to even do the skip route I take. So I went and did it this way after 10 whole minutes, and because she's so small, she can't even jump up this thing properly. Iansan, aren't you a fitness coach? Are you skipping leg days or something? I spent 21 minutes in this one domain because she's 4 heads tall. Next up is Kaya's domain, and this one was actually easy because Iansan can just leap over the spikes. Okay, so now you can jump. Would have been pretty useful earlier, wouldn't it? Next up was Lisa's domain, and I didn't actually know this, but you can actually run just right past her and not add her to your party. She would have been really useful though, because we had to use the invisible platform to perform the skip, but that was Act 1 complete, so after a bit of grinding, on to Act 2. First up is the fight against the Eye of the Storm, which didn't really pose a big threat. Next up we had an anime moment at the Fatui hideout and faced Zamenhof, but he couldn't fight our swift Stormflight. Next up we almost had our first death because I was cocky enough to fight the Ruin Guard on 2000 health, but we managed to get it down with a mere 234 health remaining. And this Pyro Abyss Mage got overloaded with our Stomps, which marks the end of Act 2. Moving on to Act 3, we start off by fighting a Hydro Abyss Mage who thought it was funny to bubble us, so we beat him with a comically large dumbbell. And after removing all 3 barriers, it was time to face Dvalin. Now, I'm pretty sure you may have noticed already, but I'm playing on about 300 ping, which means even though it looks like I'm timing our attacks right, I'm actually not. And if you've also noticed the drop in quality, is because I'm playing on a crappy laptop at 30 FPS and almost the lowest settings, so I'm very sorry about that. The next video will be at my usual setup. I was pleasantly surprised at how much damage we were doing to the lizard. We hit a high of 786 and took Dvalin down in only 3 rotations. But with Dvalin done, we head back to Mondstadt to watch Venti's monthly ball crush and finish Mondstadt in 3 hours, 57 minutes, and 47 seconds. Honestly, not that bad considering we had so much time in Amber's domain. We're only 3 minutes behind Chongyun. Bruh, there's no way we're experiencing the same bug again, divs, what the hell did you do? But now we're at the bit where we talk about Iansan, and oh my Archon, I do not want to get into it. Iansan is a polearm user, which means one of 2 things. We don't have easy access to good early game weapons, and we do abysmal damage, which means our only good option is to make her a prototype Star Glitter, which we farmed a whole hour for, by the way. Iansan's kit is somewhat complicated, though I'll try to make it as razor languaged as possible. Her normal attack consists of 3 different attacks, the final one being a blunt attack that is pretty good against shields and rocks. Her skill is probably the most useful and least helpful part of her kit at the exact same time, and I'll explain why. When she uses her skill, she fills up her Night Soul bar to full, and it drains over the course of about 9 seconds. The best thing about it is her out of combat movement. She doesn't consume stamina but runs at a sprinting speed and can even dash to move faster. To maximize the uptime and distance traveled, what you want to do is use it normally until it reaches this bar here. Then you can hold your sprint so she does this dash, and then time a jump at the end of the dash. If you don't have enough Night Soul at the end, she just does a regular dash. When dashing off a cliff, she usually does a big jump, which again doesn't cost stamina, and she can also dash on water for a brief period of time. Now, staying in the pros for now, when using her skill, Iansan's charge attacks get converted into a special charge attack, which does increased AoE damage, so that's pretty cool. Her first attack after her skill will be a charge attack at the cost of 0 stamina. But speaking of stamina, here's where it all goes downhill. While her skill is active, Iansan consumes stamina when using her charged attack, but she cannot regenerate stamina. The only way you can get more max stamina is from statues, and in my runs for efficiency's sake, I only level up the Mondstadt statue to 7 and the Liyue statue to 5. Which means we're sitting at 176 stamina for our entire run. This means we can only use our charge attack a maximum of 8 times, including the free one at the start. But most of the time, you're screwed if you do this because once her skill is over, you don't have any stamina left to dodge attacks. Even better, when her skill is back up, you probably won't even have half your stamina bar refilled, so on average, you're looking at about 3 to 4 charge attacks per skill usage, depending on the enemies you're up against. And because we're now level 40, we also have her first Ascension passive, which boosts her attack by 20% when she's in her Night Soul's Blessing, so that's kinda neat. But enough about her skill, you'll see the problems with it when it comes up in the video anyways. Now moving on to her burst, it's actually really good. It has a high energy cost of 70, but once we progress later into the run, it's really not a problem. It does a massive amount of damage, like we hit a damage height of 1616 while farming, and it gives us a big attack buff, but you really only want to use it after her skill or the buff is useless. As the downside though, Iansan can't fully utilize her buff as a solo character. She's great for teams that move around, but she herself kinda doesn't. I'll dumb it down a bit more. Movement regenerates Night Soul. Night Soul above here means big buff. Night Soul below here means dog water shit stain buff. Iansan gets about 1.5 seconds when it's above here, so nice knowing you, big dog. And real quick, her size is a real bummer when it comes to combat, but I'll let the experience speak for itself. So let's move right into Liyue Act 1. First up is the Millilith, but they got squashed under our tiny ass foot. And then I ran out of stamina while climbing, so we got respawned all the way back here. But after that little step back, we went straight to Mountain Shaper with our dash. And yet again, it took more than 10 times to get the correct amber. Are you kidding me? Oh my god, this f***er. Next up was Cloud Retainer's domain, and we don't even have to climb the tree. Iansan showed her one and only true strength here. Next up was the Ruin Hunter, but we just tickled it to death with our mediocre 40 damage. And that was Act 1 done. So let's talk about the absolute terror of this run, her Ascension materials. Iansan's local specialty is Dracolite, and although they don't break like regular rocks, there's always a Tatankasaur nearby. Iansan can also break the rocks herself because she has electro damage. One round of collection gives you about 80 rocks, so you only need to go around twice for level 80. Iansan? Hello? The fuck? What the f***? And now, her boss. This f***ing menace. I'm gonna give it to you straight. This one boss was an absolute nightmare. Most of you probably already know what it does already, but I'll just give you a quick rundown. I did say the boss is getting its own section in the video. The boss comes in 3 different types. Each type copies attacks from the other world bosses, and some of these attacks have the chance to do additional max health % damage. This means that loading up on health artifacts doesn't do shit. After copying moves, the fucker goes to the middle and gains an Abyssal Shield, which we can't even break, by the way. Luckily for us, we can run to the side here where it can't target us. Even though the boss is fucking ridiculous, there's a pattern to the madness that we can exploit. For every rotation of attacks, the propeller does 4 different attacks from different bosses. Each type copies 3 different sets of bosses, and the first and last copied attacks are always going to come from the same boss. Also, each copy boss only has 3 different attacks. The last attack in the rotation is always going to be the same attack, whereas the other attacks are either a close or long range attack depending on your distance from the propeller. If that's confusing, let me give you a visual example. Type 1 copies Rezic Vines, Terrace Room, and the Iron Blight Drake. This combination isn't too bad, most of the attacks are avoidable. First, it transforms into a Rezic Vine, and because we're far away when it transforms, it does the Electro Rezic Vine's long-range Thunderstrike move. Next, it turns into the Terrace Room, and since we're next to it, it does a close-range Frenzy move. Next, it turns into the Drake, and you can see the symbol here, which means it's an enhanced attack. If we get hit, it does additional max HP damage. We're not close to it though, so it does its long-range charged attack. And finally, we know that its first form was the Rezic Vine, so we know that the only move it can do is the Cryo Rezic Vine spin. There's only one really bad move out of all of these, and it's the Terrace Room's missile attack, especially if it decides to enhance it, because we're small as fuck and can't outrun them. So yeah, we died on our first attempt. But we got it the second time, and it gave 2 whole drops, so thank you Propeller, this is the one thing keeping me sane. Type 3 is the easiest by far. Every attack is dodgeable, but Type 2, that combination of moves has to be illegal. This version of the propeller almost made me quit the run, I am that serious. The only way to beat this as Iansan is to stick close to the boss at all times. However, it's almost impossible to do so, because the one moment we get outside its melee range, we're almost guaranteed to take damage. When it transforms into the Geovashap, you need to get away from it. If you get hit by its 3-hit combo, you're fucked. If you get hit by the Hypostasis Slap, well, might as well restart the fight. The stupid thing is, the range threshold on this boss is so small, it's stupid. I did say it was stupid. Look at how close I am to it, and it still pulls out the Magu Kenki range attack. And this attack is one you can barely avoid. Iansan's little legs aren't fast enough to dodge every single slash. And if it happens to be an enhanced attack, well, goodbye. But that's not all. If the propeller uses the long-range hypostasis attack, good luck. It's almost impossible to dodge this with Iansan because, again, she's so slow. Okay, look, I partially blame my ping as well, but this boss is so fucking stupid, it's not funny. And I've shit on this boss plenty enough, so you won't hear any more about it for the rest of the video. But I'll have you know I spent hours with this piece of shit, and I hated every single moment of it. Act 2 is a bit more lighthearted, but we can't hit the pot, so it's time for gaming with Garming. We hit another damage high of 2996 here, technically 3.8k because of overload. Next up is Madame Ping's teapot, but it's just slimes here. I think the Geosign felt sorry for us because it sacrificed itself. We gave our training regimen to the treasure hoarders, but something tells me they didn't like it. So that was Act 2 complete. We cleared the Ascension domain, which raised our world level, and unfortunately, this is where we start to fall off as a solo character. Iansan wasn't all too bad in the early game, but from now on, she's going to be a literal mosquito. Well, apart from this new damage high of 4475. Act 3 begins with the windmill, and Iansan obviously can't do this, so we've got another shorty to help us out. Screw your spears, eat barbell. And then we waited 9 whole minutes for the stupid Pyrofatui to turn around. For some reason, he just loves this side of the building. Go away, there's nothing here. And just when it was safe, Iansan's small-ass body didn't climb the rock properly, so we weren't fast enough and got caught. And it happened again, you little shit! And then he noticed us the next time. Iansan, you're supposed to be small. How come the most unobservant enemy in the game is able to notice you? Come on! Who the f dies to Whopper Flowers? Stop running out of stamina, Iansan. Child-sized versus child, who wins? Phase 1 is easy because child is the least adept with a bow, but the other 2 phases are a lot harder because this guy suddenly has electro resistance. Iansan, you're supposed to be strong. How come you can't stagger child? You have a blunt attack for Natlan's sake. Why can't you topple over the sticks for legs harbinger? At least this guy attacks slower than we can run. But now it was time for Osayo. But you already know how this goes. And that was Liyue complete in 12 hours, 55 minutes and 40 seconds. We're a whole hour behind Chongyun because of the rock farming and the stupid piece of... okay, sorry, I said I wouldn't bring it up again. On to the Dane's quest. Jokes, 1 hour of Papilla. The Abyss Mages are just easy fodder for us now. We just stomped them to death. In fact, we even hit a new high of 6,322. And the fact these ones are cryo just means we obliterate this Ruin Hunter with Superconduct. So that just means we need to go 1 step up. Luckily for us, the Hydro Herald is honestly not too bad. Oh boy, I really hope the other heralds are just as easy, that would be so great. No, not foreshadowing at all. But it's now time for the Land of Lightning. And first up is the transport balloon. There's a load of water everywhere, so we can just electrocharge it up. Next up was the police station, and you good, mate? Like always, we went naked into the Raiden fight, and we let her beat us up because I'm beginning to dread this run. Please let it be over. So why don't we take part in our favorite pastime? Archery. Yeah, well, of course we can't do this, so our gliding champion takes the reins.
Wouldn't running be faster?
This guy dashed into the water, is he stupid? Act 3 begins, and my ping is really starting to become an issue. I swear on Tepe's life it's lag and not my skill. Iansan can indeed do this puzzle, and... okay, Tepe's life times 2. I didn't even die to the Lao Chou, I died to the fucking water! Can someone tell me where the electrocharged water body is in this picture? There's exactly 0 under my feet. Either the lag is so bad I got hit when I was over here and it didn't register until 3 seconds after, or is just invisible. What the f? Next was the Delusion Factory, and oh my days was I about to lose it. I was this close. Oh, hold on, let me zoom in a bit. This close to just logging off for the day. Electro Hammer. I can't even target him first because of this idiot Hydro Gunner, so he heals back to full health with a massive Electro Shield that I can't break. I went from 9,000 health down to 0 because of these dumb things with shields that I literally don't do anything to. It got better when I took down the other two Fatui, but this Electro Hammer took an extra 2 minutes trying to beat. Thank you, Natasha, for being significantly easier to beat. Oh wow, another useful upside to Iansan's skill that of course doesn't involve combat. And now we've hit AR35, which means we can ascend Iansan to level 70 and finally unlock her second ascension talent. Because I've talked about her a lot already, to put it into simple terms, she heals on her burst. This gives her some sustain, but honestly it's dog doo-doo. Most of the time she heals herself about 2 to 3,000 HP per burst, depending on how she's moving during combat, and in some cases she doesn't even heal at all, but we'll get to that a bit later. So it's Senora time. And similar to the Cloran challenge, I already knew that this was one of the rare times where this fight was going to be easier than the Shogun. We took almost no damage in her first phase, and we just survived her second phase. A was up next, but again, this was harder because she's immune to Electro. Most of the time we were just running away because we were so close to death, but eventually we slapped her enough for her to submit, which marks the end of Inazuma. The Chasm is next, and Hoyo must watch my videos because what the heck is this? These enemies didn't get staggered a single time during my fights with them. Like, what? I went from staggering them with every single attack on Chongyun to only slightly budging them with Iansan? Hello? She has blunt attacks too. Her burst literally throws Abyss Heralds away. Why do you not get affected at all? And speaking of Abyss Heralds, do not show me this guy ever again. I literally optimized the fight so perfectly. I pulled him up to the top here so I could go down whenever he did this move, hide behind the pillar when he did this move, and give myself enough room to dodge everything else. And I did so well until this invisible lightning bolt appeared through the pillar. And the cool thing is, once you fail, you have to watch the 2-minute cutscene all over again. A couple of attempts later, I tried to pull him towards the pillar, but the game thought I left, and I had to watch the cutscene yet another time. Now this attempt looked fine, but Iansan kept climbing onto the pillar. Guess what? Iansan's size is yet again a liability. She can't outrun these boars for shit. Oh, but wait, you're level 70 now. Why don't you use your burst and just heal? Well, this Lecter steals energy when we're hit, and even when we have enough energy to use our burst, it doesn't even heal us. When we're fighting enemies like an Abyss Herald, we can't trigger our passive to heal. We need to trigger a Night Soul Burst. So, what are the requirements to trigger a Night Soul Burst? We need to do elemental damage to the enemy. And why can't we do elemental damage? Because of this f***ing shield! The only benefit of our burst for this fight is giving us an extra 27% damage for 2 seconds. Wow, big whoop-de-doo. It doesn't even matter when the Lecter shoots out attacks faster than you can say Collective of the Plenty. You can't even get up close and personal with him 80% of the time. After spending almost a whole hour here, I gave in and used healing food because I swear the lower his health is, the faster he attacks. I don't even care about these guys anymore. They're literal ants compared to what I just dealt with. And so we're finally done with this absolute stinker of a quest. You're probably having so much fun watching me struggle, aren't you? Don't worry, I'm having the most fun I've ever had in my life. I'm gonna get a Verissa and it's all going to be Diluc. Yay, Sumeru. Yippee. On the bright side, we did do another pull and finally got Iansan C1. Now this is a decent upgrade as it regenerates 15 energy every time she uses her skill, which basically means more bursts. The Withering is up first, but it's no problem for us. We can just charge attack the flowers and then do the same to the fungi. Act 1 ends with a fight against Ainalachma, and that's it. Act 3 has Rift Hounds, but they get demolished within seconds. Act 4 starts off with the Alizar Hospital, so we do the Dendrogranum trick, and Iansan's skill is yet again useful for non-combat reasons. Who would have guessed? Why does her size fail us when it matters most?
Oh, please, oh my god.
Wouldn't running be faster?
Oh my... Again, you gotta be fine. But we finally lit them up, which means it is now time for our desert journey. We skipped most of the enemies here, but not these ones. Now these fungi are actually not the easiest of enemies for us because of how they interacted with the Electro. When we apply Electro to them, they become all hyper and go crazy, so we don't really want to use our skill until they're almost dead. But Act 4 is now in the bag. Act 5 makes us fight Rahman's crew and we hit a new damage high of 7177. So next is the Fatui and... It's fine. We managed to take down almost all of its health before he can put his shield up.
The doctor's orders are absolute!
This isn't the way to...
So now it was time for more Fatui and can you stop giving me electro hammers, please? And we can't break these, so you know what to do. We sacrifice the radish.
Awakens!
Now I tried to skip this part of the boat of consciousness, but I couldn't, so we had to go brute force our way in. And now this guy was also a pain. I thought it would calm down after it lost its shield, but guess what? Welcome back, shield. I guess you're just gonna do some random damage to me for no reason. Okay, thank you, shield. Why does every electro enemy have it out for me? I finally took down the slab of meat thanks to the healing from Iansan's burst, and that was Sumeru complete after another half an hour of dialogue. Quick Curry Bear run through. We can't light the fire, so we put our 5-star Diluc to work, so I feel like we've actually accomplished something this video. I've about had it with these guys, get stopped to death. And as we attempt the Ascension quest, it's really easy to tell that we've fallen off. The fact that we almost died, or the fact that we barely had enough time remaining in the challenge, already shows that we're so incredibly weak. But after getting boosted to AR 40, it's time for Fontaine. First up are the flowers, and Iansan is perfect for this because she can run on water. She can run on water. Act 2 has us fight against mechs. These ones are no big deal, but just wait till we get to the humanoids. The first one we want to get rid of is the Pyromech because it's annoying. Do I need to say more? It can trigger Overload, which can do big damage, but luckily for us, Iansan is actually fast enough for once to outrun most of the bullets. After that, it's just more dogs and they're easy to outmaneuver, so that's Act 2 done. Act 5 puts us in the torture chamber, and there's one slight problem. We don't have any food left. I used it all up on the stupid Electrolector, so we must fight with this amount of initial health. Our burst regeneration is the key to us winning here. The bad thing is, all it takes is for any one of the enemies to hit us once, and that's our burst regen gone entirely. Luckily for us, we knocked out the Animo Rogue before we went down ourselves, because this dumbass Ruin Guard shot its missiles even though we were literally right next to it. So we tried again, and again, and again, and now we only had 3 attempts left, so I said fuck it and gobbled down our best buffing foods, and we still got slapped in the ass. But one try later and we finally managed to knock down the chicken jockey as well as the iron golem right after. Last up was the whale, but we just ran around and poked its eyes, and that was the end of Fontaine. Bedtime story. Yeah, good night to Iansan. She can't even beat Abyss Mages anymore. Iansan's height is yet again another problem because she can't jump over this small rock. And oh, and guess what? Height problem again. Screw this bedtime story, we're going back to our home nation. Iansan does well against the Abyssal Pylon because she's from Natlan. However, her elemental application is kinda cheeks because it only comes from her enhanced charge attack. And we already know how that goes. It takes 2 rotations for her to destroy it, so not too bad. This combination of enemies that usually gives us trouble in Act 2 is honestly fine this time because Overload shreds everyone.
And we'll be there. Nothing to it. Easy for you to say.
Dinosaur. Ha, you thought you could get me this time, you stupid wraith. Eat war, chump. We activate these Rift Hounds with the Electro, so they take increased Electro damage, and that's Act 2 done. Act 3 is horrible because of one thing and one thing only. Electro Hammer. But guess what's so cool about this fight? If you leave to heal, the cutscene replays and every single enemy respawns. I never want to see you again. I hate this challenge. I hate this challenge. I hate this challenge. I hate this challenge. We hit a new high of 8.9k. Rode on this thing that's somehow slower than Iansan and did the same strategy as last video. And Malwika is somehow more useless than us and misses every fucking fireball. And then whatever, we save Natlan, I guess, and beat Genshin Impact with Iansan in 44 hours, 52 minutes, and 51 seconds. making her the slowest character by 5 whole hours. I never want to see her on field again, and she can stay in my Versa team as a support. Don't let her cook ever again. But let's chuck her in the ratings and see how horrible she actually was. For combat, 2. This is self-explanatory. Her normal attacks are weak, they do hardly anything by themselves. Her burst and skill help buff these attacks, but it's like a 30 to 40% increase at most. Her burst gives her a lot of burst damage and a bit of sustainability if you unlock her second passive, but her attack buff from her burst is completely useless on her because she can't generate Night Soul fast enough. Her skill does okay damage and transforms her charge attack into AoE electro damage, and these do a decent amount of damage. But they cost stamina, and she can't regain stamina during her skill uptime, so she's literally a walking target after it expires. She can't do jack against electro enemies, and has difficulty breaking all types of shields because she doesn't have a lot of elemental application. If I could give her a 1.5, I would. For farming, she gets another 2. The only upside is her local specialty, which is relatively easy to acquire, and she has the ability to get them without the use of Saurians. Don't even get me started on her boss. I already talked the hell out of it. The Propeller is even stronger than any boss and does a ton of damage. Iansan by herself can't break the Abyssal Shield, which means it's never going to lose its resistances. Iansan is so bloody small, it's almost impossible to dodge certain attacks, and you can't even itemize against it because it does max health % damage irrespective of defense and resistances. Not only this, I didn't even mention that it doesn't only drop electro crystals, so you either have to farm the shitty boss for days or exchange other elemental crystals for electro ones. And when Iansan has level 70, it's much easier to survive because you get healing on your burst, but it takes so much longer because the boss's health scales better than your attacks, so you need the healing. Actually, you know what? I'm changing it to a 1. This boss alone made me tilted for the rest of the run. Exploration, 4. The only thing Iansan is actually decent at. Her dash is so useful when jumping between gaps in terrain or gaining distance without using your glider. It's a good movement tool in the overworld, and if you utilize it well, it has about a 60% uptime. The only things that suck about it are that it immediately goes away when you start swimming and that there's no stamina recharge, but they're pretty minor. Iansan can break rocks too with her 3rd normal attack, so I guess that's something neat. But that doesn't justify my entire experience with her. Straight up 1 out of 5 for enjoyment. This challenge sucked. Bad. These challenges are what I like to do in my free time because I think they're fun and I enjoy them when they're a bit tough. But this one made me want to throw my laptop out the window. Iansan gets a miserable final score of 8 out of 20. I love her as a character, but please don't make me play her solo ever again. Iansan has cursed me and my accounts, and I've spent the last 4 weeks contemplating my life choices. I have a beta only account sitting in the backlog, but after that last Electro experience, I'm traumatized. I'm lightheaded just speaking about her right now. Next video is a different type of video related to this comment. That's it, I'm out. Subscribe for more pain.